The massive alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark cloud. Its surface was covered in what looked like natural armor plates, similar to those of an Earth beetle but scaled up to impossible size. The ship had arrived without warning 3 days ago, followed by 6 smaller vessels of similar design. Admiral Vexthar stood on the command deck of the Karathi flagship, his tall form towering over the officers around him. His skin was a deep gray-green with natural armor ridges across his shoulders and spine. The Karathi had evolved on a harsh world, with twice Earth's gravity, giving them strength that few species could match. "Scans complete, Admiral," said his science officer. "This planet should not support advanced life. The gravity is higher than most habitable worlds. Temperature variations are extreme. The atmosphere contains oxygen at levels that would be poisonous to most species." Vexthar made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Another death world. And yet our sensors detect primitive artificial structures and basic technology." He had seen this pattern before on harsh worlds. Simple life forms evolved with impressive physical traits but rarely developed intelligence. "Prepare the first wave," he ordered. "Standard subjugation protocol. No need for the full army against primitives. On the ground below, humanity was anything but primitive." Major Sam Winters stood in the underground command center of the United Earth Defense Force as screens showed the alien vessels in orbit. "Still no response to our communications?" he asked. "None, sir," replied Communications Officer Olivia Martinez. She was young but known for her cool head. "We've tried all frequencies and even basic mathematical sequences. Either they can't understand us or they're choosing not to respond." "Sir," called out another officer, "we're detecting smaller craft launching from the main ship, hundreds of them, on descent paths worldwide." Winters frowned. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. No communication, no diplomatic efforts, just what appeared to be an invasion force. "Sound the global alert. All defense forces to their positions, but hold fire unless they show clear hostile intent." 45 minutes later, that intent became clear. The first alien dropships landed in open areas outside major cities on 6 continents. The Karathi warriors that emerged stood nearly 8 feet tall, with natural armor and strength that could bend metal. Outside Chicago, Lieutenant Paul Garcia commanded the first human forces to make direct contact. His orders were to attempt communication again and retreat if the aliens showed aggression. "Hold positions," Garcia ordered as the massive alien figures approached. Their weapons were clearly visible, some kind of energy rifles that looked like they had grown naturally from the same material as their armor. The Karathi commander raised his weapon. In their language, he announced the standard opening declaration, used on primitive species. "Kneel before the Karathi Imperium, rulers of the galaxy. Your world is now under our protection and control." When no one moved, because no one understood, the commander fired a warning shot that vaporized a nearby vehicle. "Open fire," Garcia shouted, and the Earth forces responded immediately. What should have been a quick victory for the Karathi turned into something unexpected. The humans didn't flee in terror as primitive species usually did. Their weapons, while less advanced, were still effective against Karathi armor when concentrated. And there were many more humans than the Karathi had anticipated. Similar scenes played out worldwide. The alien forces had expected to establish control points with minimal resistance, but instead found themselves in serious firefights with organized military forces. Admiral Vexthar received the first reports with disbelief. Impossible. No primitive species from a death world has ever resisted first contact forces effectively. "Sir," his second-in-command said quietly, "these are not primitives. They have global communication networks, advanced projectile weapons, and organized military structures. Our initial scans were incomplete." Vexthar slammed his fist down, cracking the metal surface of his command console. "Send in the second wave, full combat deployment." On Earth, Dr. Zachary Moore worked quickly in the makeshift lab set up near the battle site outside Chicago. As the facility's lead xenobiologist, he had been given access to something unprecedented, an actual alien body. One of the Karathi warriors had been killed in the fighting. Their biology is fascinating, he told Major Winters over the secure video link. Their muscle density is approximately 3 times that of humans. Their natural armor can stop most small arms fire. But they have weaknesses. I'm listening, Doctor, Winters said as reports of more alien landings came in. Their endurance appears limited. These muscles are designed for short, powerful bursts of energy, not sustained effort, and their thermoregulation system is poor by our standards. I believe they would struggle in extreme heat or cold. Winters nodded. So they're stronger but can't last as long, and they might be vulnerable to our more extreme environments. Exactly. Also, their lungs are smaller relative to body size than ours. I suspect they evolved in an oxygen-rich environment and might fatigue faster in extended physical activity. This information spread quickly through Earth's defense networks. New tactics emerged: engage the aliens, then fall back, forcing them to pursue. Use Earth's varied environments against them. Fight in deserts at midday or in snow at night, where their poor temperature regulation would weaken them. In orbit, Vexthar received increasingly concerning reports. The humans were adapting their tactics faster than any species the Karathi had encountered before. They were using their environment in ways that made no sense, fighting in conditions that should have been challenging for them as well. These creatures, he growled. They treat their death world as an ally, not an enemy. A week into what was supposed to be a simple subjugation, the Karathi had established only 3 secure landing zones instead of the planned 50. Human forces had destroyed hundreds of their dropships. The casualties were unprecedented for a first contact operation. In Washington, D.C., the human leaders gathered to discuss the situation. They had intercepted and begun to decode some Karathi communications, enough to understand the basics of what they were facing. They call themselves the Karathi Imperium, explained Linda Hayes, head of the newly formed Alien Intelligence Division. From what we can tell, they've conquered many worlds and species. They classified Earth as a death world, a planet so harsh that any species evolving here should be primitive and easy to subjugate. President Alan Grant looked at the battle reports from around the world. They were wrong. Very wrong, agreed General Frank Ross. They expected simple animals, instead they found humans. We evolved on this death world not just to survive it, but to master it. Our adaptability, our endurance, our ability to use tools and coordinate globally, these are all things they didn't anticipate. Outside the window, they could see the lights of the alien ships in the night sky. The Karathi had expected an easy victory against primitive Deathworlders. Instead, they had awakened the true apex predators of the galaxy, humans who had conquered their harsh world long ago and were now ready to extend their reach to the stars. Admiral Vexthar looked at the planet on his view screen. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something new. Doubt. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were winning. And they were learning about Karathi weaknesses with frightening speed. Prepare the main battle fleet, he ordered. We need reinforcements. As the message was sent to the Karathi homeworld, Vexthar wondered if even the mighty Imperium was ready for what they had discovered on this unassuming blue planet. The Deathworlders had found deadlier Deathworlders, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 weeks after the Karathi ships first appeared in Earth's orbit, the aliens were learning a painful lesson. What should have been a simple conquest had turned into a grinding war of attrition. The humans were not just fighting back, they were winning. Admiral Vexthar paced the command deck of his flagship. His armor plates clicked against the metal floor as he moved. Around him, officers worked in silence, afraid to draw his attention. The admiral had already executed 2 commanders for failure. Show me the latest battle reports, he ordered. A 3-dimensional map appeared, showing Earth with red dots marking Karathi landing zones and blue areas showing human-controlled territory. There was far too much blue. This makes no sense, Vexthar growled. How can these primitives resist us so effectively? We evolved on a world that would crush them with its gravity alone. His science officer, a smaller Karathi named Drenlock, approached cautiously. Admiral, I have completed my analysis of the humans. They are not what we thought. Explain. The humans did not just survive their death world, they mastered it. Their planet has environments ranging from ice deserts to steaming jungles, and they have populated all of them. They can endure conditions that would kill most species. Drenlock displayed images of humans running long distances, working in extreme heat, and surviving in frozen wastelands. While we are stronger, they can maintain moderate physical effort for days with little rest. Our warriors tire after hours of fighting. On Earth, Colonel Ryan Foster had turned this very weakness into a winning strategy. His forces had engaged in what he called persistent warfare, never giving the Karathi time to rest or regroup. Keep the pressure on them constantly, Foster told his international strike team. They're stronger than us, but we can go longer. It's like fighting a sprinter when you're a marathon runner. His team had been harassing the same group of Karathi for 36 hours straight. Small hit-and-run attacks. Never engaging directly for long, but never letting the aliens rest either. The humans rotated in fresh troops every 8 hours. The Karathi had no replacements. Dr. Zachary Moore had expanded his research on the captured alien bodies and technology. In his lab beneath a military hospital in Colorado, he examined a piece of Karathi armor under a microscope. It's remarkable, he told Major Winters, who had flown in to see his findings. Their armor isn't something they manufacture. It grows naturally on their bodies. Like fingernails? Winters asked. More like a turtle shell, but stronger. It's made of interlocking plates that can flex and move. Our standard bullets can't. Penetrate it easily, but Moore picked up a small plate and bent it until it snapped. It has weakness points, and it doesn't handle extreme temperatures well. This discovery led to a new weapon development program. Within days, Earth forces were deploying modified ammunition designed to target the weak points in Karathi armor. The effectiveness of alien protection dropped by 40% overnight. In Washington, D.C., diplomat Natalie Simmons made a breakthrough of her own. Working with linguists and computer experts, she had deciphered enough of the Karathi language to attempt communication. "We're ready to transmit," she told President Grant. "We've prepared a basic message explaining that we are an independent, technologically advanced species, and that we wish to establish peaceful relations, but will continue to defend ourselves if necessary." Grant nodded. "Send it." The message reached the Karathi flagship and caused immediate confusion. Admiral Vexthar had never received a formal communication from a species being subjugated. It simply wasn't done. "They wish to speak?" he said in disbelief. "After we attacked them?" "It appears their social structure is different from ours," Drenlock explained. "They have multiple governing bodies across their planet, not a single imperial authority. Some wish to fight, others to talk. This concept was almost impossible for the Karathi to grasp. In their empire, orders flowed from the top down. Disagreement was punished. The idea of a species with competing internal authorities that somehow functioned together was alien to them. This explains their unpredictable tactics, Vexthar realized. They don't follow a single battle plan. Each group adapts independently. He decided to respond to the human message, not out of any desire for peace, but to gain information about this strange enemy. The first official communication between humans and Karathi took place through video transmission. Natalie Simmons represented Earth, while Admiral Vexthar spoke for the Karathi Empire. "We are puzzled by your resistance," Vexthar said through the translation system. "Your world is harsh and dangerous. You should not have developed advanced technology. You should have remained primitive, focused only on survival." Natalie smiled slightly. "Perhaps it is because our world is harsh that we developed technology. We needed tools to survive, and then we improved those tools over generations. You have many nations, many leaders. This should make you weak, divided. We are different from each other, yes, but we can unite against outside threats. Diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. We adapt faster because we try many different solutions to the same problem." This concept disturbed Vexthar deeply. The Karathi valued uniformity and obedience. The idea that strength could come from diversity challenged everything they believed. After the communication ended, Earth's leaders met to discuss what they had learned. General Ross spread out maps showing the locations of all known Karathi forces. They're preparing for a major offensive, he said. Their reinforcements arrived yesterday, 3 more large ships. President Grant looked grim. Can we hold them off? I believe we can, said Colonel Foster. We've been studying how they fight. They're powerful but predictable. They always follow the same patterns, the same tactics. When something doesn't work, they just try the same thing again with more forces, Dr. Moore added. And we've identified another weakness. They rely heavily on their technology, but they don't innovate quickly. The weapons we've captured all follow the same design with minor variations. They perfect one approach and stick with it. This gave Linda Hayes from Alien Intelligence an idea. What if we could get our hands on more of their technology? Not just weapons, but their communications, their navigation systems. Major Winters nodded slowly. A capture mission. High risk but high reward. Exactly, Hayes said. We need volunteers to infiltrate one of their landed ships, get in, take what we can, get out. The dangerous mission would require the best soldiers Earth had to offer. Olivia Martinez, now a captain after her success in early battles against the alien stepped forward. My team will do it, she said. We've fought the Karathi up close more than anyone. We know how they move, how they think. As Earth prepared this daring operation, Admiral Vexthar made plans of his own. The resistance of the humans had shaken the Karathi High Command. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they faced a species that might actually defeat them. We will not be remembered as the ones who failed, Vexthar told his officers. Prepare all ships, all warriors. We will attack every major human city simultaneously. They cannot defend everywhere at once. What neither side fully realized was that this conflict had attracted attention far beyond Earth's solar system. The news that a Deathworld species was successfully resisting the Karathi Empire had spread to other galactic powers. Observer ships lurked at the edges of the system, watching with great interest as humans demonstrated capabilities that should have been impossible for a young species. The galaxy was beginning to realize that a new power was emerging, and the old order might never be the same again. Captain Olivia Martinez moved silently through the dark corridor of the downed Karathi ship. 5 soldiers followed close behind her, their weapons ready. They had trained for this mission for 2 weeks, practicing in mock-ups built based on what they knew about alien ship layouts. Stay alert, she whispered. Remember, their hearing is not as good as ours, but their sense of smell is better. The inside of the alien vessel was hot and humid, designed for Karathi comfort. Curved walls were covered in the same armor-like material that protected the aliens themselves. The air smelled strange, like metal, and something similar to cinnamon. The ship had crashed 3 days ago after being damaged in battle. Earth forces had surrounded it but stayed back, making the Karathi think they were afraid to approach. In reality, they were preparing for this mission. Martinez checked the digital map on her wrist device. Command center should be 2 levels. Up, engineering is 1 level down. We'll split into 2 teams as planned. Sergeant Joe Williams nodded and took 2 soldiers with him toward engineering. Martinez and the remaining 2 headed for the command center. Their goal was to capture intact alien technology, especially communications and navigation systems. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Vexthar received news that made his blood run cold. A fleet-wide message from the Karathi homeworld arrived, but it wasn't the reinforcements he had requested. The High Command demands an explanation for your failure, his communications officer said nervously. They say the cost of this subjugation has already exceeded any potential value of the planet. Vexthar slammed his fist against his command. Chair, those fools don't understand what we've discovered. These humans aren't just another species, they're something new. If we can capture some alive for study, understand how they evolved such adaptability. Sir, interrupted his second-in-command, sensors detect unusual activity around the crashed scout ship in Sector 4. On the view screen, thermal images showed small figures moving inside the downed vessel. They're inside the ship, Vexthar said in disbelief. They're stealing our technology. He turned to his officers. Launch all remaining fighters, destroy that ship completely. Inside the crashed alien vessel, Martinez's team had reached the command center. They worked quickly to remove what appeared to be the main computer core and several smaller devices. "This is amazing," said Private Lisa Cooper, as she carefully disconnected a crystal-like object from a console. "Their tech seems partly biological. These look like grown crystals, not manufactured circuits." Martinez nodded. "Pack everything you can carry. We have 10 minutes before extraction." Her radio crackled. "Captain, this is Williams. We've got what looks like a power source from engineering. It's small but incredibly heavy. Good work. Meet at the extraction point in..." She stopped as a deep rumbling sound came from outside the ship. "What was that?" Cooper looked at her portable scanner. "Multiple aircraft approaching. They're Karathi fighters." "They must have realized what we're doing," Martinez said. "Change of plans. Everyone to extraction point now. Run." The 6 humans raced through the alien corridors, carrying bags full of advanced technology. Behind them, the first explosions rocked the ship as Karathi fighters began bombing their own crashed vessel to prevent its technology from falling into human hands. Meanwhile, in Dr. Moore's underground laboratory, a breakthrough was happening. Working with engineers from around the world, he had managed to activate one of the first pieces of alien technology they had recovered, a Karathi communication device. "It's working," he said as the device projected a holographic display. "We're picking up their fleet communications." Dr. Catherine Adams, a brilliant physicist who had joined Moore's team, studied the alien text scrolling across the display. "The translation program is matching patterns. We're getting about 60% accuracy now." "Enough to understand the basics," Moore said. "Look at this. They're talking about a major attack, all remaining forces." Adams pointed to another section of text. "And this, the Karathi homeworld is asking questions about their failure. They expected this to be easy. The invincible Karathi Empire is facing something they never expected," Moore said with a grim smile. "An opponent they can't easily defeat." President Grant and his military advisors received this information just as reports came in about Martinez's team. The extraction had been successful, barely. 2 soldiers were wounded, but they had escaped with bags full of alien technology. "This changes everything," General Ross said. "With their technology and their communications, we can move from defense to offense." Linda Hayes nodded. "And it seems there's dissent in their empire. The homeworld isn't happy about this costly war." "Then, we press our advantage," said President Grant. "If we can show them that conquering Earth will cost too much, maybe they'll withdraw." The captured technology reached Moore's lab within hours. Scientists and engineers from around the world joined video conferences as they began examining the alien devices. "This is beyond anything we've ever seen," Adams said as she studied the crystal computer core. "But the principles are still based on physics. We can figure this out." Moore pointed to the power source Williams had recovered. "This is the most interesting piece. It generates enormous energy from a very small mass. If we can understand how it works." "We could build our own ship," Adams finished his thought. "Ships that could leave Earth and take the fight to them." The work progressed at incredible speed. Human scientists sharing ideas across continents, approaching the alien technology from different angles. What might have taken the Karathi decades to develop, humans reverse-engineered in weeks. Admiral Vexathar watched with growing horror as his surveillance showed new human weapons appearing on the battlefield. They were crude adaptations of Karathi technology, but they worked. "Impossible," he muttered. "They can't have understood our technology so quickly." Drenlock, his science officer, had a different view. "Admiral, I believe we have greatly underestimated these humans. They learn faster than any species we've encountered. They share knowledge across their planet instantly. They adapt and improve upon ideas rather than simply copying them." "Are you saying they're superior to us?" Vexathar asked dangerously. "Not superior. Different. We evolved for strength and durability. They evolved for adaptability and innovation. On their death world, those who couldn't quickly adapt to changing conditions didn't survive." In the weeks that followed, the balance of the war shifted. Human forces began pushing back against Karathi landing zones, using modified versions of alien weapons alongside their own. the invaders found themselves increasingly on the defensive. Beyond Earth's solar system, the news spread quickly. Observer ships from the Zinthari Federation, ancient rivals of the Karathi, transmitted detailed reports back to their leadership. The Deathworlders are defeating the Karathi, a Zinthari commander reported. They've taken alien technology and improved it within days of capturing it. If they continue at this pace, the implications were clear. If humans could defeat the Karathi and master their technology, what would stop them from expanding into the galaxy? A new power was emerging, evolved on a world that most species considered uninhabitable, with an ability to adapt and innovate that frightened even distant observers. Admiral Vexthar made his decision. Against direct orders from the Karathi High Command, he assembled his remaining ships for one massive attack. It would either crush the humans completely or end in total defeat. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same again. The night sky above Earth lit up with explosions as Admiral Vexthar launched his final assault. Over 200 Karathi ships descended through the atmosphere, targeting major cities and military bases. It was the largest alien attack since their arrival, but Earth was ready. In the 2 months since first contact, humans had prepared defenses using both their own technology and adapted Karathi weapons. As alien ships appeared, they were met with a network of ground-based energy weapons reverse-engineered from captured Karathi technology. In the command center beneath Washington, D.C., President Grant watched the battle unfold on large screens. Beside him stood General Ross and Dr. Catherine Adams, who had become the lead scientist on alien technology. "They're throwing everything they have at us," Ross said. "This is their last push." Adams pointed to a display showing the status of Earth's new defensive grid. "The shield technology we adapted from their ships is holding at 80%. It won't stop everything, but it's slowing them down." Across the planet, battles raged in the skies and on the ground. The Karathi warriors fought with desperate fury, knowing this was their final chance for victory. Human forces met them with equal determination, defending their world with everything they had. Captain Olivia Martinez led a squadron of aircraft equipped with modified Karathi weapons. Her pilots engaged alien fighters above the Atlantic Ocean, preventing them from reaching the eastern United States. "Stay in formation," she ordered as her squadron weaved through enemy fire. "Remember their patterns. They always break right after their third attack run." Sure enough, the Karathi fighters followed their standard tactics, allowing Martinez's team to predict their movements. One by one, alien ships fell from the sky into the dark waters below. On the Karathi flagship, Admiral Vexthar watched with growing despair as his forces failed to break through human defenses. How had these creatures advanced so quickly? 2 months ago, they had only primitive projectile weapons and basic aircraft. Now they were using modified versions of Karathi technology against its creators. "Sir," his second-in-command reported, "we've lost 30% of our ground forces and 40% of our fighters. The humans have created a defense network we cannot penetrate." Vexthar stared at the battle displays. They learned too quickly. They adapted too well. For the first time in his long military career, he faced not just defeat but humiliation. The undefeated Karathi Empire brought low by a species they had initially dismissed as primitives. "Prepare my personal craft," he ordered suddenly. "I will lead the attack on their main command center myself." His officers exchanged worried glances. Such a direct involvement by an admiral was unprecedented, but none dared to question his orders. In the laboratory complex beneath Colorado, Dr. Zachary Moore worked frantically to complete his most ambitious project. Using the Karathi power source recovered from the crashed ship, he and his team had built Earth's first faster-than-light communication device. "Final connections complete," said his assistant as they connected the device to their power grid. "If this works, we'll be able to send messages at the same speed as the Karathi network." Moore nodded. "And potentially listen to communications from elsewhere in the galaxy." He activated the device, which hummed with energy. On a display screen, alien symbols appeared, Karathi communications they had already decoded. But then something unexpected happened. New symbols in a completely different pattern began to appear. "What is that?" the assistant asked. That's not Karathi language. Moore's eyes widened. It's someone else. Another alien species is communicating. He quickly ran the new language patterns through their translation program, which had been designed to identify common mathematical and linguistic structures. They're talking about us, he said after a few minutes. About the war. These are observers from something called the Zinthari Federation. In space, beyond the detection range of either human or Karathi sensors, a Zinthari observation vessel monitored the battle. Its commander, a tall blue-skinned alien named Trelkor, watched with fascination as the humans successfully defended against the Karathi assault. Record everything, he ordered his crew. The council will want complete details of this unprecedented situation. His science officer approached with a concerned expression. Commander, we're detecting an unusual signal. Someone is listening to our communications. The Karathi? No. The signal originates from Earth. The humans have already developed faster than light communication capability and are intercepting our transmissions. Trelkor's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. Impossible. They had no space travel capability when this conflict began. Yet they've done it. And based on the signal pattern, they're using modified Karathi technology, improved upon in some ways. The commander made a quick decision. Open a direct channel to the source of their signal. I wish to speak with these humans. Back in Moore's lab, the alien symbols suddenly changed pattern again. They're trying to establish direct communication, he realized. They know we're listening. He quickly contacted President Grant, who authorized the communication. Minutes later, for the first time in human history, Earth scientists were speaking directly with an alien species that wasn't trying to conquer them. I am Commander Trelkor of the Zinthari Federation, came the translated message. We have been observing your conflict with the Karathi Empire. Your resistance has surprised many throughout the galaxy. Moore carefully composed his reply. This is Dr. Zachary Moore of Earth. We are defending our world against unprovoked aggression. We seek peaceful relations with other species, but we will protect ourselves when necessary. Understood. The Karathi have conquered many worlds through similar methods. None have resisted as effectively as yours. The fact that you have already adapted their technology for your own use is concerning to some in the galactic community. While this historic first contact with a non-hostile alien species continued, the battle above Earth reached its climax. Admiral Vexthar's personal craft, leading a squadron of elite fighters, punched through human defenses and headed directly for the North American continent. They're targeting Washington, General Ross announced. Redirecting defenses now. President Grant looked at the approaching threat on the screen. Is it time to use our last resort? Adams nodded grimly. The prototype is ready, but we have only one. What the Karathi didn't know was that human scientists had done more than just adapt alien technology. They had improved it, creating a weapon more powerful than anything in the Karathi arsenal. Based on the principles of the alien power source, it could generate an electromagnetic pulse specifically tuned to disable Karathi systems without affecting human technology. As Vexthar's squadron approached Washington, Colonel Ryan Foster gave the order to activate the weapon. A silent pulse spread outward from the defense facility, invisible to the naked eye. One by one, the Karathi ships lost power, including the Admiral's craft. Vexthar watched in horror as his controls went dead. His ship began to fall toward the Earth below. Around him, his entire attack force suffered the same fate. The humans had not just copied Karathi technology, they had found its weaknesses and exploited them perfectly. As the disabled Karathi flagship drifted in orbit, the remaining alien officers faced a grim reality. Their admiral was presumed dead. Half their forces were destroyed. And now another galactic power had made contact with the humans. The acting commander made the only decision possible. He sent a transmission to Earth. We seek terms of surrender. The galaxy watched in shock as the mighty Karathi Empire suffered its first defeat in 1,000 years, at the hands of a species that had only just discovered they weren't alone in the universe. 5 years after the Karathi surrender, Earth was a very different place. The remains of alien ships had been studied and reverse-engineered. Human technology had advanced by centuries in just a few years, and humanity had taken its first steps into the wider galaxy. The UES Discovery hovered above a blue-green planet 30 light-years from Earth. It was the fifth world visited by the ship during its historic first mission of exploration. Captain Alicia Bennett stood on the bridge, looking at the planet on the main screen. "Scans confirm intelligent life," reported her science officer, Daniel Wright. "Pre-industrial civilization similar to Earth's medieval period." Bennett nodded. "No contact, then. We observe only, as per First Contact Protocol." This protocol had been developed after humanity's rough introduction to galactic society. Unlike the Karathi, humans had decided they would not force themselves on less advanced species. They would watch, learn, and wait until a civilization developed global communication and space travel capabilities before making themselves known. The Discovery was humanity's first purpose-built starship, constructed using a combination of Karathi technology and human innovation. It was faster and more efficient than anything the Karathi had built, a testament to humanity's ability to improve upon existing designs. On Earth, the changes were even more dramatic. Cities featured new buildings made with alien materials. Transportation systems used gravity control technology. Energy production had been revolutionized by the adapted Karathi power sources. Dr. Catherine Adams, now the head of the Global Science Academy, led the research efforts that turned alien concepts into practical human technology. She stood in her office in Geneva, looking at a holographic display showing the locations of human outposts throughout nearby star systems. 8 colonies in 5 years, she said to Dr. Moore, who had become her closest colleague and husband. Not bad for a species that just learned we weren't alone in the universe. Moore smiled. The Karathi did us a favor in a way. Without their invasion, we might have taken decades to develop this technology on our own. Speaking of the Karathi, Adams said, the diplomatic team is meeting with their new leadership today, first official talk since the surrender. In a large conference room in New York, President Laura Chen met with Calvren, the new leader of the Karathi government. The once mighty empire had been forced to accept significant changes after their defeat. Their military had been reduced in size. Their conquest of other worlds had been halted. "We appreciate this opportunity for dialogue," Calvren said formally. Though still physically imposing with his natural armor and height, his posture was respectful rather than threatening. "Earth is committed to peaceful relations with all galactic species," President Chen replied, "including the Karathi." "Your people have surprised the entire galaxy," Calvren admitted. "No species has ever advanced so quickly or adapted so well to new concepts. The Zinthari Federation has been studying your history to understand what makes humans different. And what have they found? That your death world was not a disadvantage, as we assumed, but the source of your strength. The harsh and varied conditions of Earth forced your species to adapt constantly. While we evolved physical strength on our high-gravity world, you evolved mental flexibility and creativity." This assessment matched what human scientists had concluded. Earth's wide range of environments, from Arctic tundra to scorching deserts, from mountain peaks to ocean depths, had created a species that could survive almost anywhere and adapt to almost anything. Beyond Earth's solar system, the galaxy continued to react to humanity's emergence. The Zinthari Federation had established formal diplomatic relations with Earth, exchanging knowledge and technology. Other species watched from a distance, some with interest, others with concern. Commander Trelkor, now the Zinthari ambassador to Earth, met with Linda Hayes in a garden outside the new Galactic Relations Center in Geneva. The blue-skinned alien had been the first non-Karathi to contact humans, and he had developed a deep interest in Earth culture. "Your world is considered the most extreme death world ever to produce a spacefaring civilization," he told Hayes. "The conditions humans consider normal would kill most intelligent species within hours." Hayes raised an eyebrow. "We knew Earth was classified as a death world by galactic standards, but not that it was considered extreme." "Extremely extreme," Trelkor clarified. Your oxygen levels alone would be toxic to most species. Your gravity is crushing. Your temperature variations are wildly beyond tolerable ranges. The fact that you evolved intelligence despite needing to focus so much on basic survival is remarkable. This revelation led to a greater understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy. They weren't just another spacefaring species. They were something unusual, even unique. A species that could thrive in environments that would kill most aliens, adapt to new situations with incredible speed, and improve upon technologies rather than simply using them. 20 years after first contact, humanity had become a major galactic power, not through conquest like the Karathi, but through innovation, adaptation, and calculated diplomacy. Human colonies existed on 12 worlds. Earth ships traveled regularly between stars, and the technology that had once seemed magical had become commonplace. Admiral Olivia Martinez, once a captain fighting alien invaders above the Atlantic, now commanded Earth's defense fleet. Her flagship, the UES Guardian, was the most advanced vessel ever built, incorporating technology from multiple alien sources, all improved upon by human engineers. On the bridge of the Guardian, Martinez met with representatives from 17 formerly subjugated species who had formed an alliance with Earth. What made this alliance work wasn't conquest or fear, but mutual benefit. Each species contributed their unique strengths and knowledge, with humans often serving as the innovators, who could combine different concepts into something new. The Karathi never understood the power of cooperation, said Nizal, a representative of the Volari, a species known for their mathematical abilities. They saw difference as weakness to be dominated. Humans see it as an opportunity to learn. Martinez nodded. We had to learn that lesson on Earth long before we met any of you. Our own history is full of conflicts between different human groups. We discovered, slowly and painfully, that we achieve more together than apart. The final resolution of the Karathi threat came not through warfare, but in the Grand Council Chamber of the Galactic Concord, an interstellar governing body that Earth had recently joined. Diplomat Jacob Turner presented evidence of thousands of years of Karathi atrocities against lesser species. The Council's vote was unanimous. The Imperium would be disbanded, its conquered worlds given independence, and the Karathi themselves restricted to their home systems until they demonstrated a fundamental change in their approach to interspecies relations. As Turner left the council chamber, an elder Zinthari approached him. The alien was ancient even by Zinthari standards, with pale blue skin and 4 eyes that had witnessed centuries of galactic history. We once feared the Karathi because they were the ultimate predators, the elder said. Now we understand they were merely the most aggressive of prey species. Your kind evolved not just to hunt but to endure, not just to kill but to adapt. The Zinthari placed a 4-fingered hand on Turner's shoulder. The true apex predators have always been those who can outlast, outthink, and when necessary, outfight their competition. The galaxy is yours now. We only hope you prove more worthy stewards than your predecessors. Turner thought about humanity's violent history, the conflicts and cruelties they had inflicted upon each other. But he also thought about what they had learned from those mistakes, the principles of freedom, cooperation, and mutual respect that now guided Earth's approach to other species. We're still learning, he told the Zinthari elder. But we know this much. The strongest aren't those who dominate others, but those who help others become strong in their own way. As Turner's ship departed for Earth, he looked out at the stars that had once seemed so distant and unreachable. Humanity had emerged from its death world not as conquerors, but as innovators and adapters. The galaxy had feared them at first, seeing only their potential for destruction. Now many were beginning to see their potential for creation as well. The Deathworlders had arrived on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same again.